Check out logi.gg/Datto and use code Datto10 to save money on your next Logitech purchase. I use a bunch of their stuff, and I have been for years. Mint Retrograde is a new weapon in Edge of Fate, a rocket-assisted pulse rifle. And much like the rocket sidearms that came before it, this weapon is a damage machine. Every once in a while, it is the target farm weapon in Pinnacle Ops, and after this third or fourth time around of it appearing, I finally have the time to go grind for a bunch of rolls. I wanted to dedicate a full video to this weapon to give it more of a discussion than I usually do with weapon roll videos, as it is easily one of the most popular legendary weapons of the expansion for good reason. It's really good. There are a lot of ideal perk rolls on this thing, but there are a few that I would like to highlight in particular. We're also going to be looking at the enhanced versions only, since tier 2 and higher is all enhanced, and I imagine most people will have an enhanced version at some point. Fortunately, most of the enhanced effects on these perks are not very complex. They're mostly buff duration increased type things, with a couple of exceptions. First, some stuff that I personally plan on avoiding for the time being. Beacon rounds to me doesn't really feel that necessary. I don't really think the weapon needs that much tracking to begin with, especially with the ways that I imagine most people will be using this thing. The reload speed is nice, but we can get reload-esque effects from other sources. Hatchling to me is still on the weaker side of the subclass weapon perks. If you have a setup that revolves around threadlings, I'm still not even sure I would want hatchling on this thing. It requires precision kills, which you probably aren't going to do that much, or at all, or 3 kills in 3 seconds, which is a little more reasonable, but maybe not the most common experience. I am still coping on Bungie buffing hatchling or just threadlings in general, though, so maybe if they get enough of a bump, hatchling is going to be worth it on this thing. Recycled energy is also probably a no from me. Reloading after killing stuff giving you energy is an okay effect, but I think we can do better, and it also only goes to your least charged ability, which could range from good to completely useless. Most of the other stuff in the second column is pretty good, as we'll discuss, although I leave out Slice in this conversation. That being said, Sever is still a very good effect, but I'm personally not hunting Slice on this weapon unless I get maybe like a tier 5 version and it happens to show up. Before we get to main perks, I want to very quickly talk about minor perks, although specifically magazine perks. Mint Retrograde gets 5 shots in the mag, 6 with the backup mag mod in your weapon, but we can get some more increases from some other magazine perks. Extended mag, for example, brings you up to 7, 8 with backup, but it does kill a lot of your reload speed. Most other mag increasing perks will bring you up to 6, 7 with backup. Do I think you absolutely need to have magazine perks in your gun? Not necessarily. I think you should care way more about the major perks. If you're opting for a first column perk that doesn't do a reload thing or ammo restoration like Rewind or Envious Arsenal, then it's going to have more value having more shots in the mag. But Rewind rounds fully restores your magazine if you hit with all of your shots. It fully restores your magazine if you miss 2 full bursts. It is incredibly generous. Do with that information what you will. Up front, I do want to talk about stats for all, 1 for all, mainly 1 for all though. Normally, I love this combo. It's super easy to activate, lots of bonuses. But on Mint, I could see why some people might be apprehensive. Your total ammo is pretty limited here, and hitting 3 targets in 1 shot, which is what you'd ideally like to do to get this active, might not be that easy, depending on the activity. Sometimes it's very simple to achieve this, sometimes not. You might have to resort to like whipping your aim around to try to hit 3 targets with each hit of a burst, which isn't easy, nor is it that fun to have to try to make happen on a constant basis compared to, let's say, an auto rifle or just any primary. I definitely don't think it's bad, but I could see why you might want to stay away from it. It just depends on how much you want to work for it and the kind of content that you're playing. Master of Arms also seems like a good pick. You can trigger it using other weapons, and then you can swap. You can trigger it just by killing with Mint itself. It's not hard to get it rolling. 2 stacks is 25% bonus damage. It's only 5 seconds, but you can refresh it with another kill. The 15% bonus, the one stack version, will be up almost constantly, and for some people out there, that 15% bonus will be better than other things because of how automatic it is. You don't need to think about it at all. You can activate it on Mint Retrograde itself without swapping. It is just there, ready to go. It's honestly my suggestion for most people. It is better to have a slightly lower damage bonus very often and accessed very easily than a higher damage one that you won't ever actually activate or forget to activate, or you're just not that good at activating it. And I would argue for more general play, like running around in fire team ops or pinnacle ops where the pace is a lot faster and you're maybe just trying to relax or not try too hard, this role is actually the ideal. No fumbling weapons, no aim requirements, just point and shoot. And that's it. The first role that I think everyone's going to look at is Envious Arsenal bait and switch, right? It is one of the best perk combos in the game for boss damage on legendary weapons. However, we just learned that rewind rounds is incredibly generous with its ammo restoration. Not only that, but rewind rounds is tracked even when you're swapping weapons. So as long as you're not missing every single burst, you're gonna get that reload to happen when you run out of ammo. I also think that rewind rounds are just generally more useful in more parts of the game than Envious Arsenal is, like just doing average things in the game. So, I failed to see a reason to hold on to Envious Arsenal when rewind rounds is working the way that it is on Mint Retrograde, with one exception that I will get to soon. The issue that I tend to have with bait and switch on a weapon in a non-boss or non-single target damage situation is that I personally just forget that I have it on my gun. And my anecdotal evidence is Song of Ear Ute, the machine gun from Crota's End. I never, ever activated bait and switch on this thing in non-boss damage situations because I either forgot or stuff was dying so quickly that I just didn't care. And my concern for people chasing this roll down is that you will just not activate the perk because I had a similar problem in regular day-to-day content. This is why I would suggest Master of Arms for the non-thinkers out there who just want to shoot gun and have some bonus damage pop up when you switch to this thing or when you're using this thing. There ain't nothing wrong with just wanting to shoot gun and not fumble over your weapons to get some bonus damage. But if you're in the camp that doesn't mind activating bait and switch, or you actually remember to with some frequency, it's not like it's a bad perk. It's very good. The main benefit of bait and switch is that you can activate it whenever you want. You are completely in control of it. So as long as you remember, you're going to be fine. But for everybody else, maybe Master of Arms, or maybe this next thing. One role that you should look at is rewind rounds and elemental honing if you're playing prismatic. Those equipped with a wide range of elemental damage on them can get a nice 35% damage buff for 23 seconds. If you hit with all 5 damage types. Even if you only have 4, you're still hitting 30%, although for not as long of a duration, but still very good. All classes have top-tier prismatic setups, with Hunter having a really juiced one that I hope to discuss soon, the whole Grapple Ascension setup. However, this is another one of those, how much do I want to work for it questions that you need to ask yourself. How much do I want to be rotating my elemental damage around to trigger this buff? How reasonable, how easy is it for me to achieve this? Do I even need 23 seconds of a damage buff when I'm just grinding the solo ops mines? Would something else suffice? The more you are willing to work to make this effect trigger, the better it becomes. To get to 20% bonus damage, you need 3 different sources of elemental damage. For some setups, or for some people, that is literally 0 effort whatsoever. For other people, this is something they legitimately may never do. One more combination that I want to at least make note of is Envious Arsenal and Chain Reaction. And this is mainly due to the bonus effects on the enhanced versions of these perks, where you get 20 bonus ammo generation per perk for a total of 40. One of these bonuses is equal to around 1 ammo generation stat mod in your armor. I think in your head, anyway. This brings your ammo generation stat up on the weapon from 24 to 64. Now, I only tested the 24 and 64 numbers to ensure clarity of my findings, so if you wanted to dial this up even more through chest armor mods or helmet mods or even a weapon mod, you're going to be doing even better. Also, ammo generation stuff doesn't really work in the shooting range that well, so I just went out to the EDZ to try some stuff. In the purest form of I'm just going around shooting stuff tests, I was able to generate a special brick with 7 shots remaining in my inventory when on the 64 ammo gen version. Comparatively, I was down to my final 2 shots before I got a brick to spawn on the 24 ammo gen version, and I only got a brick because I killed a higher tier enemy. So the effect is pretty substantial when boosting your ammo gen that much, and this is not even the highest it can go. You can still mod in more stuff. Ammo generation is definitely a stat that a lot of people haven't really caught on to yet because it's still pretty new. But if you build into it, it is very significant for your weapon uptime. In some kind of a double special weapon loadout, you're probably going to want a lot of ammo generation to sustain yourself. So that's where I think this is going to get some play. I have a friend who runs with this version of the weapon with an abundant ammo weapon mod in it, a strand chest ammo mod, and choir of 1 for double special, and they never run out of ammo unless they're just spamming all of their mint shots into a target. Lower tier content, where the pure damage output of the weapon itself is enough to get by, I could also see this being valuable for people out there who are running low on ammo. I'm sure there are situations where like 1 burst is enough to kill certain targets in XYZ difficulty activities without a damage perk, but like, if you're the kind of person calculating something like that, I'm not sure why you've even reached this point in the video. Like, why are you even watching this? You clearly know what's up already. For the rest of you out there, if you're not on double special, I'd personally still probably just go with reload plus damage perk and call it a day. But ammo generation in general is definitely something to think about for your setups, mint or no mint. In most pieces of content, if I'm in the solo ops mines, if I'm running with friends doing pinnacle ops, I'll most likely have rewind Master of Arms, or if I'm on prismatic and I'm set up for it, rewind and elemental honing. I will have a copy of Envious Chain for the times where I want to try some double special stuff, because I do want to try something soon. But generally, I want something that is simple and easy to use. I don't want to have to think about anything at all other than point and shoot. And for most people out there, I really suggest something along those lines. Feel free to let your peers know what is working for you, maybe what's not working for you. Thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.